Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to look beyond the image of Wonder Woman. She is more than a symbol, more than a hero in bright colors and dazzling strength. She embodies something ancient yet ever present, a reminder of the power within each of us when we allow ourselves to wonder. What does it mean to be strong? The world tells us that strength is to overcome, to dominate, to wield power. Yet Wonder Woman shows us a different kind of strength, a strength that lives in empathy, in connection, and in resilience. She demonstrates a courage that doesn't just defend against, but reaches out and connects, bridging the realms of myth and the mundane. Wonder is often seen as something fleeting, a mere momentary pause in our otherwise busy lives. Yet when we truly embrace it, wonder becomes a doorway to a deeper understanding of both the world and ourselves. It is the ability to remain in awe of life's mysteries, to approach the world not as something we must control or conquer, but as something we are constantly invited to explore with curiosity and reverence. Wonder is not just for children or dreamers, it is the source of wisdom and the catalyst for transformation. Wonder Woman, as a symbol, embodies this quality of awe, not just through her extraordinary feats, but through her way of being in the world. She is a figure who stands as a reminder that true power is not about brute force or sheer dominance. Instead, it is the power to remain open to the world around us, to stay receptive to what we don't understand, and to allow our curiosity to guide us. Her strength is not just physical, it is rooted in her ability to see beyond the surface, to question, to seek answers, and to recognize the potential in everyone and everything. When we think of heroes, we often imagine individuals who are invincible, unshakable in their resolve. But Wonder Woman teaches us that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is through her openness to the world, her connection with the people she encounters, and her willingness to embrace complexity that she is truly powerful. Her ability to approach each challenge not with a sense of superiority, but with a sense of wonder is what sets her apart. She does not see the world as something to be overcome, but as something to engage with, to learn from, and to protect. Wonder is the space where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. It is in those moments when we stop to truly observe something, a flower, a sunset, the way a child's face lights up when they learn something new, that we feel the pulse of something greater than ourselves. It's in these moments of pause that we reconnect with the infinite possibilities that lie before us. Wonder reminds us that life is full of beauty and mystery, even in the midst of difficulty or pain. It is not about denying the harshness of reality, but about seeing beyond it to the larger patterns and forces that shape our existence. In our everyday lives, we often get caught up in the pressures of achievement, productivity, and control. But what if we allowed ourselves to wonder? What if we gave ourselves permission to approach each day with a sense of curiosity, to see the world not as something to master, but as something to discover? Wonder invites us to look at everything anew, to find joy and meaning in the simplest of things. It invites us to question the assumptions that we carry with us and to find wonder in the spaces we least expect it. Wonder Woman's power is a reflection of this. She is a constant reminder that true strength lies in the ability to remain open to the unknown, to question what we think we know, and to stay humble in the face of mystery. In a world that often values certainty, wonder invites us to embrace the unknown, to trust in the process, and to keep exploring with an open heart. To live with wonder is to live with the recognition that there is always more to learn, more to see, and more to experience. It is in this openness that we find our truest power. Strength and grace are often seen as opposing forces, two qualities that seem to occupy different realms of human potential. Strength is associated with power, determination, and force traits that push us forward, break through barriers, and help us achieve our goals. Grace, on the other hand, is often thought of as gentleness, fluidity, and elegance, qualities that suggest a softness, a quiet ease that moves through the world without resistance. Yet in the heart of a true hero, these two qualities are not opposites, they are complementary, and in their harmony something profound is revealed. Wonder Woman exemplifies this balance perfectly. She is a warrior, a protector of justice, and a symbol of physical power. She possesses strength beyond measure, able to defeat her enemies with skill and resolve. But her strength is not without grace. She moves through the world with a sense of poise, a quiet confidence, and a deep understanding that true power is never about brute force alone. The balance between strength and grace is what makes her truly extraordinary, not her ability to fight, but her ability to do so with dignity and compassion. In the world around us, we often feel pressure to choose between these two qualities. We are taught to be strong in our pursuit of success, to push through obstacles with determination, and to never show weakness. But what if strength is not just about persistence and resistance? What if true strength comes from the ability to remain centered, to act with intention, and to know when to yield and when to stand firm? Grace is not the absence of strength, it is the presence of wisdom, the understanding that the greatest power often lies in knowing when to let go, when to pause, and when to move with ease rather than force. To balance strength with grace is to understand that power is not something that is always exerted outward. It is also an internal quality that allows us to navigate life with clarity and calm. Wonder Woman does not rely on anger or violence to fuel her actions. Instead, she channels her power into purposeful, focused movement. In doing so, she demonstrates that true strength is not a constant display of force, but an integrated flow of energy that adapts to the situation at hand. She fights when necessary, but she also knows the power of restraint, the power of listening, and the power of kindness. This balance between strength and grace is something we can all cultivate in our own lives. It does not mean that we suppress our strength or become passive. Instead, it means learning how to approach challenges with a sense of composure, how to act with conviction while remaining aware of the needs of others, and how to remain open to different perspectives without losing our sense of self. Strength without grace can lead to aggression, isolation, and rigidity, but when paired with grace, it becomes a force for good, a force that connects, uplifts, and transforms. In every moment, we are presented with choices how to respond, how to move through the world, and how to balance the forces within us. Wonder Woman's example reminds us that true power is not about dominating or forcing our will upon others. It is about knowing when to stand tall, when to soften, and how to navigate the space between the two with a sense of inner harmony. When we balance strength with grace, we embody a power that is not just formidable, but also transformative, one that lifts us up and inspires those around us to do the same. The symbols and archetypes of the feminine are woven deeply into the fabric of human culture, myth, and history. These symbols often reflect the qualities and energies that many societies have long associated with femininity, qualities that transcend gender and speak to universal human experiences. Wonder Woman, as a modern icon, channels many of these archetypes, but her power lies not only in her embodiment of these symbols, but in her ability to transcend them, to adapt them to our changing world, and to show us that the feminine is not a single image, but a rich and evolving force. At the core of the feminine archetype is the idea of nurturing and creation. Women, throughout myth and literature, are often portrayed as the caretakers, the givers of life, and the protectors of home. These symbols suggest a deep connection to the earth, to nature, and to the life-giving forces that sustain the world. Wonder Woman, with her deep compassion and commitment to justice, reflects this nurturing archetype. She is not just a fighter, she is a defender of life, a protector of those who cannot protect themselves. Yet she is also a warrior, and this duality reflects a broader view of the feminine. It is not just about nurturing, it is also about standing firm, defending what is sacred, and taking action when needed. In addition to the archetype of the nurturing mother, the feminine is often symbolized through the figure of the wise woman, or the teacher figures who offer guidance, insight, and wisdom. In many cultures, the feminine is associated with the cycles of nature, the moon, and the mysteries of life that unfold over time. These figures embody intuition, deep knowing, and connection to the unseen forces that govern life. Wonder Woman, though primarily seen as a figure of action, also channels this aspect of the feminine. Her wisdom and judgment are as powerful as her physical strength. She understands that violence is not always the answer, and she uses her insight to navigate complex moral landscapes, offering solutions that go beyond brute force. Her ability to bridge the world of myth and reality speaks to the feminine archetype of the wise, knowing woman who is in touch with deeper truths. Another important feminine archetype is that of the warrior goddess figures like Artemis, Athena, and Kali, who embody strength, resilience, and the capacity for fierce protection. These archetypes reject the idea that femininity is synonymous with passivity or weakness. Instead, they show us that true feminine power is the ability to take action, to defend what is sacred, and to do so with both grace and power. Wonder Woman is, in many ways, the modern embodiment of this warrior goddess. She wields strength with purpose, fights with a sense of justice, and remains steadfast in her commitment to protect the vulnerable. Her power does not come from a desire to dominate, but from a deep understanding of what it means to stand for something greater than oneself. Yet Wonder Woman also challenges traditional notions of the feminine by incorporating qualities often viewed as masculine, such as assertiveness, independence, and a readiness to face battle head-on. This blending of traditionally masculine and feminine energies speaks to the archetype of the integrated, whole woman, one who does not need to fit neatly into one box but is free to express all aspects of herself. The feminine is not limited to one set of characteristics. It is expansive and dynamic, capable of encompassing both gentleness and strength, nurturing and action, wisdom and courage. In many ways, Wonder Woman serves as a reflection of the multiplicity of the feminine archetype. She is not just a symbol of one quality or role, but a dynamic representation of all that the feminine can be: strong and soft, nurturing and fierce, wise and compassionate. Through her, we are reminded that the feminine archetype is not confined to one set of attributes, but instead it is a vast and evolving force capable of manifesting in countless ways. Wonder Woman's presence challenges us to redefine our understanding of femininity not as something limited, but as a powerful, transformative energy that resides in all of us, waiting to be embraced and expressed in our own unique ways. Standing alone is one of the most profound and difficult challenges a person can face. It requires courage, conviction, and an unwavering belief in one's truth, even when that truth stands in opposition to the crowd. Wonder Woman embodies this courage in a way that is both inspiring and instructive. She is a hero not just because she can fight or because she has extraordinary abilities, but because she chooses to stand apart from the world at times to uphold what she believes in. In her solitude, she finds her greatest strength. The courage to stand alone is not the same as isolation. It is not about being physically apart from others, but about remaining true to one's values and principles when the external world may not understand or support them. It is about resisting the pressures to conform, to belong, or to fit in, and instead listening to an inner call that points toward something higher. Wonder Woman as a character frequently finds herself in situations where she stands alone, often as the only one who can see the greater picture or who is willing to make the necessary sacrifices to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Her courage does not come from her ability to defeat enemies, but from her ability to stand firm in her ideals, even when it is difficult. In a world that often demands conformity, the act of standing alone can feel daunting. We are taught to seek validation, to fit into the expectations of society, and to align with the values of the groups we belong to. But Wonder Woman teaches us that sometimes the greatest act of bravery is not to follow the crowd, but to trust in ourselves and walk a path that may be less traveled. Her strength is not just in her physical prowess, but in her unyielding belief in her purpose. She does not need the approval of others to stand tall. Her confidence comes from within, from a deep sense of knowing that she is doing what is right. There is a certain liberation that comes from standing alone. When we detach ourselves from the opinions and judgments of others, we free ourselves from the constraints of societal expectations. Wonder Woman's courage to stand alone is not an act of arrogance or pride, it is an act of integrity. She stands alone not because she believes she is superior to others, but because she understands that in order to be true to herself, she must sometimes walk a solitary path. In her solitude, she can hear her own voice, the voice that guides her decisions and actions. It is in this space of quiet confidence that she is able to make the most impactful choices, not for the applause of the world, but for the greater good. Standing alone, however, does not mean rejecting connection. It is a paradox. True strength often comes from our ability to be connected to others, but it is only when we are strong in ourselves that we can form authentic, meaningful connections. Wonder Woman's relationships with others, whether they are with her fellow heroes or with those she protects, are rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Her ability to stand alone allows her to give of herself freely, without the need for validation or approval. She is able to stand alongside others as an equal, because she first stands firmly in her own truth. In a world that often discourages standing apart or questioning the status quo, Wonder Woman reminds us that real courage is not in following the crowd, but in following our inner compass. The courage to stand alone is the courage to embrace our authentic selves, even when it means walking a difficult path. In this solitary space, we find not only our strength, but our purpose, just as Wonder Woman does every time she faces a challenge that requires her to stand firm, alone, in the pursuit of justice. On one level, Wonder Woman represents the archetype of the bridge, a character who connects different worlds, offering solutions where others see only division. The clash between the paradise of Themyscira and the harshness of the human world is more than just a geographical gap, it is a philosophical and moral divide. Themyscira is a place of idealism, where love, peace, and justice reign without the corruption and greed of the outside world. In contrast, the world of humanity is filled with complexities, violence, war, suffering, and inequality. Wonder Woman is called to move between these two worlds, not as a conqueror, but as a mediator, a protector, and a guide. She embodies the possibility of bridging these worlds by integrating the values of both, finding ways to protect and preserve the innocence of her home while confronting the darker realities of human nature. Living between these worlds forces Wonder Woman to confront difficult questions. How can one maintain their ideals while navigating the imperfections of the world? How do we bring peace to a world that seems to thrive on conflict? How can we hold on to innocence while engaging with the harshness of reality? These are questions that Wonder Woman faces every day, and they are questions that we all confront at various points in our lives. We live in a world that often challenges our values, where our ideals are tested by the demands of survival, success, and belonging. To bridge two worlds means to constantly adapt, to learn, and to grow while never losing sight of what we truly stand for. For Wonder Woman, this means using the lessons of her home to inform her actions in the human world. Her sense of justice, her wisdom, and her compassion are not born from the chaos of war, but from the peace of Themyscira. Yet it is in the human world, with all its flaws, where she truly puts these values into action. She understands that while perfection may not exist, there is always the possibility for progress, for change, and for redemption. Her ability to navigate the complexities of both worlds without losing herself in the process speaks to the power of integration, the ability to bring together seemingly opposing forces to create something greater than the sum of its parts. In many ways, we all live between two worlds, often torn between our personal values and the expectations of the society around us. We are constantly negotiating between the ideals we hold dear and the realities of the world we must face. Wonder Woman's example shows us that it is possible to hold space for both, to fight for what is just, even in the face of overwhelming adversity, and to carry with us the wisdom of our roots while forging a path forward in the world. To bridge two worlds is not just to move between them physically, but to find a way to make both worlds better. Wonder Woman does not seek to escape one world for the other, she seeks to integrate the best aspects of both, using the wisdom of her origins to heal, protect, and guide those in need. She teaches us that the true power of bridging two worlds lies not in abandoning one for the other, but in learning to live in both with integrity, purpose, and the courage to do what is right. Through her, we are reminded that our greatest strength often comes not from what we leave behind, but from what we bring with us into the unknown. The myth of the superhuman is one that has captivated humanity for centuries, ever since the earliest stories of gods and heroes. These figures, often imbued with extraordinary powers, represent something more than just strength or speed. They symbolize the ideal of human potential, the aspiration to transcend our limitations and become something greater. Yet beneath the layers of myth and legend lies an important truth. The idea of the superhuman is not necessarily about perfection, but about the pursuit of becoming more than we are. Wonder Woman, as a modern manifestation of this myth, embodies the complexity of the superhuman, revealing that it is not in the flawless perfection of an ideal that we find strength, but in the resilience, choices, and struggles that shape who we are. The superhuman, in its most iconic form, is often portrayed as someone who is invincible, unbreakable, and beyond the reach of human frailties. Wonder Woman, with her superhuman strength, speed, and endurance, might initially appear to fit this image. She can withstand powerful blows, heal rapidly, and battle entire armies. However, her true power does not lie in her physical abilities alone. Wonder Woman, like all heroes, is deeply flawed. She has doubts, struggles with decisions, and experiences moments of vulnerability. It is precisely this human element that makes her more than just a figure of invincibility. It makes her a symbol of what it means to strive for greatness while acknowledging our own imperfections. The myth of the superhuman also suggests that the path to heroism is a solitary one, often leading to isolation or alienation from those who are normal. However, Wonder Woman's story challenges this notion. She is, at her core, someone who fights for the connection and unity of humanity. Despite her abilities, she never positions herself above others. Instead, she works alongside those who need her, finding common ground with both gods and mortals. She understands that being superhuman is not about separating oneself from humanity, but about using one's abilities to serve, protect, and uplift others. This connection to her fellow beings is what makes her truly human, not the absence of flaw, but the willingness to face the challenges of being human and to use one's strength for the good of all. The myth of the superhuman often carries the weight of expectation, suggesting that greatness must be achieved without compromise, that heroes must always be perfect without weakness or fear. But Wonder Woman, by embracing her own vulnerabilities, reveals that true heroism lies not in flawless strength, but in the courage to stand, even when faced with the uncertainty of failure. Her journey is not one of invulnerability, but of constant self-discovery and growth. A journey where her power is not just measured by her ability to defeat enemies, but by her capacity to forgive, to learn, and to adapt. The myth of the superhuman is not about achieving a state of perfection. It is about the courage to strive, to face our limitations, and to rise above them. Wonder Woman, as a modern myth, embodies the idea that greatness comes not from an absence of flaws, but from the willingness to confront them and to use our strengths for the greater good. She teaches us that the path to heroism is not about becoming superhuman, but about embracing our humanity fully and in doing so becoming the best versions of ourselves. The freedom to be whole is the liberation that comes when we embrace all aspects of ourselves without shame or self-judgment. It is the freedom to exist fully, to acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses, our light and our shadows, and to integrate them into a complete, authentic version of who we are. Wonder Woman embodies this concept, not merely through her extraordinary powers or her role as a hero, but through her deep acceptance of both the light and dark within her. Her journey is one of self-discovery, not just in terms of what she can achieve in the world, but in terms of understanding and accepting her own humanity. To be whole is to honor our humanity, to recognize our flaws, to learn from our mistakes, and to celebrate our progress. It is the freedom to accept who we are, even as we grow and become more. Wonder Woman, in all her greatness, is not a figure of perfection, but of wholeness, a symbol of what it means to embrace every aspect of who we are and to use that acceptance as the foundation for our strength. Through her, we are reminded that the path to true freedom is not through denying parts of ourselves, but by fully embracing them, learning to love ourselves as we are, and living in alignment with our deepest truth.